Okay, well,
The sign committee.
let Councilman Zipperich finish and then you can respond. Thank you.
It came through committee.
I feel like David
We had
Muir.
an opportunity to review it, make comments, make concessions. We understood River Center's position on many of the issues. I think, in all fairness, that the work that Donna Smith Bard did on this with you last year before she retired, and the work that Glenn has done on it with you this year and with the new committee members this year, it has been sizably reduced, significantly reduced, partially reduced. I don't know.
It wasn't reduced at all from when you guys came.
You know the number of pages that this ordinance was? That is now?
From originally, yes, it was reduced by 30%.
Okay.
So we
That
simplified
being
it by
said,
30%.
going back to the comment I made earlier, is it has been reduced and streamlined in some fashion, and that it is a work in progress, and it continues to need more input and more work, and tailored as we go forward, which is what the responsibility of this governing body is.
Right.
To make the ordinances, modify the ordinances, sometimes review the ordinances.
Okay, now Cindy, you wanted to quickly respond because he's getting old standing. Oh, okay. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you. From what I'm hearing, it seems as if some of the businesses here, or business people, made some suggestions that may be good. I understand this has gone to River Center. River Center made some decisions, fed it back. We have an ordinance. I also understand that we're not enforcing any of these sign situations because we're in some kind of limbo. Mr. Sickles has indicated something to the effect that we want to stay within certain historical or town-appropriate parameters. It might be appropriate to open this up to River Center, so let some of these businesses comment since they're here now, get back to River Center. River Center can adjust what they have said or recommended so it can go back. I understand Councilwoman Burnham's position that we are in limbo without any enforcement. I will say that I don't have a big position on much of this except for what I've seen are safety issues where, in fact, today someone has a giant sandwich board right in the middle of the sidewalk, which is forcing people out into the street or around. If there's a group of people that have to split up, they're putting some of these sandwich boards anywhere they want, and there should be no obstruction or minimal obstruction to people on the sidewalk, particularly to keep them out of the street, because I've seen them and people with handicap or crutches and something going into the street over by where the buses are coming. So I think those type of issues are most important, or we're going to have some kind of a problem with someone falling because of it or whatever.
Just an answer to your question, Bill, and if you see that type of problem on Monmouth Street especially, just remember that sandwich board signs are excluded from our discussion on the sign ordinance because sandwich board signs and their location are ruled by the Federal Americans with Disability Act, and we have to have a standard passageway for people with challenges. So if you see them that are forcing them, you should call code. They are enforced.
They have been affected.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that's a separate issue.
And I haven't seen code do anything at all, to be honest.
Well, they should be. Like I said, we're not talking about that.
I would like to see that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Motion to close again from the public. Second. All in favor? Further council discussion.
River Center has this River Center application for sandwich board approval, and in it says no plastic, movable type, shall not be chained. Sandwich board will only be permitted immediately in front of a business.
Okay, we're not talking about sandwich board signs. As I said,
no, they
separate.
are. They should be included because
No,
this
but
is.
all I'm saying is that the enforceability and location of sandwich board signs is covered by a higher authority, and if they're blocking the intersection, we will enforce those.
Exactly.
Also, Mayor, with these sandwich board ordinance that a sunset clause, I'm going to ask Ann to check on that, because I think that ordinance may have expired.
Well, Well, you know, when we have rules for certain, and we didn't even make this up, this was River Center's things about no plastic or movable letters, and, you know, we have a lot of plastic and we have a lot of movable letters, and it looks, I don't think it looks good.
Councilman Taylor, did you have a motion, or Councilman Viola?
Just want to make one nice quick point. I know everyone, we've been talking up here for a while. You know, when Paul from the Globe comes up here and, you know, being here over 3 decades and says that this new sign ordinance that's in front of us sitting here tonight, that's going to effectively shut her business down.
No, Michael, she's grandfathered in. She's been here for a while. It's grandfathered
Not
in.
allow grandfathering.
Everybody heard that?
The ordinance does not allow grandfathering.
It does say that. Everyone is grandfathered in.
An ordinance does not, it's not grandfathered unless the ordinance specifically says the pre-existing.
Well, then maybe we should add that.
That itself would be a substantial change.
Yeah.
So, no, there's not a right.
And further costing more money because, I mean, we have to send it out. Do you?
We're not sending anything out.
Yes, you could do that. That's pretty.
Okay, our other attorney couldn't do that, and that's what we had to do.
The attorney had nothing to do with it, just the engineer. We didn't have an in-house planner then. We do have one now, that's what Gene's saying.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion one way or the other, please?
I'll make the motion
Motion for what?
that we move on
For adoption.
For adoption,
Okay,
yeah.
so there is, hold on, there's a motion to adopt.
and then we can tweak
Hold
it as
on.
we go along.
Okay, I understand that. Once there's a motion to adopt, there has to be a second to that motion.
Right.
Is there a second to the motion to adopt? There's a second by Councilman Zipperich. Discussion on the motion. Okay.
And going back to the point I made earlier, Mayor, this needs more work. I, as part of this code enforcement committee, am willing to do the additional work with the input from our business community, which is so important to the viability of our town. But at this point, I say let's just take a vote.
Hey, can we put
Okay,
this?
but your second was on the motion to adopt. So you're saying you're in favor of the motion, of the ordinance? Okay.
But he's saying-
Understanding that.
I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands.
There's a
Work
work
in
in progress,
progress.
and I'm volunteering as a member of the committee to work with the business community to make further modifications and adjustments
As needed.
As needed.
Okay. Yes, Councilman Miller.
Sorry, I keep butting in. My problem, I think the intent is good, Cindy. I like the intent of what you're doing. And Ed, to when you said a work in progress, my problem with the work in progress is that this gets enacted, people start getting fined tomorrow, and then we have to call for
No.
meetings next month.
No, they don't get fined. They don't get fined.
So what happened, if we adopt this tonight and it starts getting enforced, and then, oh, in a month, we realize 3 businesses closed because our sign ordinance,
You said we don't work that way. The code enforcers are very sensitive. Like when we started, we looked at the signage, who was compliant, who wasn't. They sent out letters to who wasn't compliant, stating that. They didn't fine them right away. We wouldn't do that. That's bad business.
Believe we should go back to the drawing board, but I guess I'll vote.
But since there's some confusion, maybe I can clarify what the options are right now. There's been a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance as it's currently written. If that passes, then obviously you have the ability to, in the future, do an amending ordinance, make changes to the ordinance. That does, the passage of this ordinance does not prohibit that. If the motion does not pass, then this ordinance dies, and you would have to introduce a new revised ordinance dealing with this topic at some point in the future. If someone were to make a change, there was some discussion about grandfathering, which is not on the table right now. That would be a substantial change, which would essentially change this vote to a hearing on first reading of that ordinance as amended, and it would have to come back.
We would start all
second
over
reading.
again.
The ordinance would be this ordinance as amended by the grandfathering provision. So those are the options before you right now.
Well, there's another option. And the other option is, although there's a motion and a second, that wouldn't there be an option to, a motion to table for further discussion in 2 weeks or something like that, or a month, and come back with some of the comments? I mean, I throw that out. I don't get the vote on it. I can only make a suggestion.
There certainly could be a motion to table this ordinance if then in 2 weeks or a month there were substantial changes that would function at that time as first reading of the ordinance as amended.
Well then, I just want to make you all aware that you're costing taxpayers more money. How? This.
Hold on just for a second. Hold on, wait a minute,
I don't
wait a
think
minute.
I've wasted 18
What is,
Stop.
the water that has already flowed has flowed. However, the change now is the fact that we have an in-house planner who is not charging extra for this, so that's not costing us more money. He's working 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever it is, and by the way, he's perfect. He's excellent. We also have our attorney who has to review these matters, and she's not going to be charging extra for it because it's part of her retainer. So when you said it's going to cost us more money, it's not costing us a penny more.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be wonderful.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a very, very good point.
So here's my concern. So my concern is, it's been, the last time this was discussed with the committee 8 months ago, nothing changed until Ed made a minor change at the last meeting, which was a month ago. We put it up for discussion at this meeting. So it's been a month, and we've had a month to think about it, and we've had a month to put together an amending ordinance, which could have been voted on immediately after this to make the changes that we think would be a good compromise, and nothing has happened. My concern is if we vote this in today, even understanding that people are willing to move ahead and make changes and tweak things, I'm concerned about how long that might take.
And Linda, if I may add, just if you'll pardon the interruption, would be that if we adopt it tonight, and that's fine, the council can do that, we have to publish the adopted ordinance, and that's going to cost us money. However, we have to remember that if you're going to change the adopted ordinance, then we have to reintroduce and we have to publish the new ordinance, which we're paying for that one, and then we have to publish the amended ordinance. So in that scenario, that's going to cost us money.
And I just wanted to add one additional step that Linda missed, and that was that with the last time that we had this before this governing body, we passed it off to the planning board, who sent it back to us with their approval.
The planning board said that this was consistent with the municipal land use law. The planning board further said that this was an enhanced improvement over the existing law, which is what we're all saying, including Councilwoman Burnham. This proposed ordinance is better than that which we have. So that's what the planning board said. It's better than what you had. The planning board said that's the only thing that we have before. So they have to say it's either consistent or inconsistent with the master plan. So the planning board said it's consistent, which it is. The second thing they said is it's a lot better than what we had. But they're not going to rewrite the ordinance for us. That's the committee.
And just because it used to be worse, there's no reason to find this acceptable.
Right. So, Madam Attorney, what do we do? If somebody makes a motion to table,
There is a motion and a second. If there's no motion to table, then it would be roll call. But it doesn't matter because there hasn't been a motion to table. Right now, there's only a motion to adopt, and in which case a vote yes is to adopt the ordinance in its current form. Vote no is to not adopt this ordinance in its current form. And if there's a revision to be presented later, then we consider it later.
okay. Roll call on the motion to adopt.
Councilwoman Burnham.
Yes.
Councilman Ziprich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan.
No.
Councilwoman Schwabendauer.
No.
Councilman Taylor.
No.
Councilman Whalen.
No.
The ordinance fails. Published because it fails. Okay, resolutions. Resolution 1676, authorizing additional design work for Marine Park storm rehabilitation and the improvements for the Marine Park pump station. Stanley?
Yes, Mayor, the Parks and Rec Committee met with the then borough engineer back in December and made modifications to the work. As you know, this went out to bid as 2 separate contracts and came back higher than the engineer's estimate. The committee met with the engineer and proposed changes to the specifications to eliminate some of the things that were still in question, to focus on the storm damage and the rebuilding of the sewer lift station. And there are some additional costs for that work to make those changes, and this resolution authorizes the finalization and the redesign and rebidding of the project. It will be rebid as one project to get the economy of scale.
Any questions? No? There's a motion? Second? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, Resolution 1677, resolution appointing Andrew Walsh as Construction Board of Appeals Attorney for the Borough of Red Bank. Just a little preface. Andrew Walsh was our Construction Board of Attorney last year and has been for a number of years. On New Year's Day, the council appointed our borough attorney as the attorney for the Construction Board of Appeals, which is fine. The problem is that legally that cannot take place because the borough attorney represents the code officer or the construction official before the Construction Board of Appeals. Can't be the same person on one side of the fence and the other side of the fence. So I really have no great, I think Mr. Walsh has served us well for all those years. However, we need somebody right now, and my suggestion is, for the time being, let's get Mr. Walsh back in there. The council wants to make a further change, certainly would entertain it, but we need somebody right away. Okay, motion? Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So Mayor, I just have one quick question.
Sure.
on that. So with all of these legal minds sitting on the dais, how did we miss this at the beginning of the year, including our new borough attorney?
Yeah, I
who
know.
was appointed to the position?
I can only speak for myself and the error that I made, and I apologize because it was made out of ignorance. In many other places, the Construction Board of Appeals is actually done to the county. There's not a municipal Construction Board of Appeals. And since I was so new, I assumed erroneously that Red Bank was like other municipalities which I've worked in, which it's, what if you're the Construction Board of Appeals attorney, it's to represent the borough in front of the county board. And so that day, that was my assumption as to what the nature of that position was, which was incorrect.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how forward Red Bank was with your own Construction Board of Appeals.
Everybody
And
wants to
so I
be
keep
Red Bank.
hearing.
Okay. So it's been voted on and then by consent, unless there's a motion to take another resolution out, resolution 1678 through and including 1689. Motion? Second? All in favor? Any
Mayor,
opposed?
I have to abstain on 78, 79, 80, 84, and 88. 78, 79, 84, 84, and 88.
Okay. Okay. So noted. Resolution 1690, a resolution authorizing the planning board to undertake an investigation on to determine whether the block 30 lot 10.01 could be established for criteria for the designation as a non-condemnation redevelopment area to be included in the investigation in the White Street parking lot at the same time. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, how about a roll call then?
Councilwoman Burnham?
No.
Councilman Ziprich?
No.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schwabenbauer?
Yes.
Councilman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Resolution passes, thank you. Resolution 1691, authorizing disposal of surplus property. This is what we do every year to set it up for auction. Motion?
temporary.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had a separate one.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, sorry. It's been a long night. Resolution amending the 2016 temporary appropriation, Councilwoman Schreiber.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And Resolution 1692, a resolution authorizing a 6-month extension of the parking fee ordinance enforcement moratorium. Motion, Councilman Whalen?
Motion.
Second? Councilwoman Schreiber. All in favor? Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, resolution passes. No proclamations, resolution 1693. Be it resolved by the mayor and council that the bills be paid on the attached check registry totaling $3,665,746.64. Motion, Councilwoman Schreiber.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any old business? Any new business? Audience? Members of the audience? Mr. Blanky?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Councilman, 365 Shrewsbury Avenue.
Fred, can you take that out, speak it. Okay, that's better. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, I would like to, if you have 5 or 10 minutes, to have a closing sections with the councilman.
Well, I can meet with you, that's not a problem, but the council as a whole, at the end, after we adjourn, can't meet with you because that would be a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Well, the reason why I asked, I know when the mayor was, McKenna was the mayor, he allowed me to have it, that's why I asked.
No, I'm saying I'd be happy to meet with you.
But I'm saying, I met with the councilors, and I think you was the councilman at the time, I met with.
But there has to be,
Missy.
in other words, there has to be an exclusion to the Open Public Meetings Act. Is that correct?
That's
So-
correct. In order for the whole council to meet with you, that you were a quorum of the council, enough that could vote to pass something, they can only be together discussing borough business in either this, an open public meeting or an executive session for the topics that are authorized by the Open Public Meeting Act. Otherwise, they can't all be together
Okay,
discussing.
well, I got to go back and look at my records, but I'm not disputing it as attorney, but I know it happened, and I'm not going to dispute you, but I'm not going to take.
Fred, you might be absolutely correct. What I'm saying is, what the attorney's saying is that there are a couple of exceptions that can take place, but in order for us to know what those exceptions are, I think it's important that we know so that she can rule if there's an exception or not. And right now, we don't know.
Okay, well,
So I'll talk to you afterwards, and if we have to, if it's an exception,
okay, well,
we can get
can I
back.
meet with you and Stanley?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I said that before. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, it could even be another council person,
Okay.
as long as it's not the whole group.
All right. The other thing is, Mr. Miller, I know you came in a little late, Stanley, but I don't want to discuss this. This is, I was told, not to discuss that right now. That's just a follow-up what I sent that out or not. And I'm not going to discuss that because, right now there's something going on. The other thing is, I know Mississippi's, I go downtown and I see the truck down there lifting these catch bases up and cleaning them and whatnot, but I don't see none on the west side. And, we still have a problem, Mississippi's, that drainage system right across from Old Sal's Tavern, there in that corner, which the supervisor was here, spoke to you about it.
The one on Shrewsbury Avenue, Fred, or the one on Herbert Street?
It's right on Herbert Street.
On Herbert, okay.
And it's still, the trash is still in there. You know what I mean? And when you say go online, the one Chestnut Street about these potholes and whatnot, it's, you call down there. I called down there a couple of weeks ago about something, and the lady said, oh, we have a problem with the phone. I must was on the phone for a good 20 minutes. Then they hung up on me. I don't know what's going on down there at 75 Chestnut Street. But it's not getting done like it should be. And when you say potholes, we still have potholes on the west side. All we're looking for is the drainage system all over town to be lifted and cleaned out the proper way. That's what I'm looking for. You doing it downtown, we gotta have it done over here.
Thank you.
And after the council.
Yeah, no, we're not leaving, yes, okay. Mr. Myers?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one comment on some comments that have been made or brought up, and I'd just like the council to consider this. Over the years, and I've been in Red Bank for too many years, that I know that Snickers, because you know I don't want to tell you how many years, because it's going to imply that we're a lot older than we look. But at any rate, over that time period, the ratables have skyrocketed in Red Bank. Now, if there is a relationship between ratables going up and taxes going down, my taxes and our taxes in Red Bank should be under control. But although the ratables skyrocketed, our taxes skyrocketed even more. So the belief that you can just go willy-nilly out and approve anything that's going to give you ratables, and it's going to help Red Bank, either in connection with it not being a dead bank or lower the taxes that are quite a burden on a lot of the people in the town, particularly the homeowners, is a fallacy. And to believe otherwise just is going to take us down a very expensive road. I also want to point out to the board when we talk about dead bank, that time period came with an exceptionally severe recession where a lot of homes went into foreclosure, a lot of businesses suffered as a result of that, and it came back really pretty much in the private sector. People came in and invested, saw the good deals when everything cleaned out, and the town came back. And it wasn't a bad town to be in during that time period. It was a lot of fun, I have to tell you, although it was a little bit on the quiet side. The parking, again, I mentioned originally when I was up that certain of these properties, private sector, could become parking garages, and that'll be a big plus. The concept of signs to get people over to the east side parking lots, which I did take a look at again recently when there was difficulty parking, particularly also on St. Patrick's Day. They're underutilized dramatically. And Red Bank has always been a town where the people that come in here want to park conveniently right next to where they want to go in. So the idea that that you are going to solve these parking problems with just a garage is I think it's going to have to be placed properly, and I think you should encourage the private sector to build it. Thank you.
Mr. Boyd?
Mr. Smith, I forgot one thing.
Come on up so we can hear you.
I'm sorry. I forgot one thing. It just dawned on me back there. Mr. Sipples, the last council meeting, I brought to your attention about a borough vehicle. I checked with Tinton Falls, Fairhaven, Middletown, Asbury, and Long Branch. A lot of employees that I know work for them towns. And I checked with them. And I checked with also one supervisor. Borough vehicle in all towns. A person cannot go to the doctor in that borough vehicle at any time, job related or anything. Anytime. I just want to correct you on that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? If not, is there any need for a public, for executive session? No. Okay. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Thank you all for coming.